Welcome, everybody, to the Royal BC Museum's Annual Research Day. Welcome to presenters, to staff, particularly to Commode members, to volunteers, to partners, and those watching either live or post hoc on our YouTube channel. Welcome in particular to Susan Knott, Chair of the Royal British Columbia Museum's Board of Directors. This will be the first time that a board chair has attended the Annual Research Day and represents, I think, a powerful endorsement, not just of this event, but of the importance of research at the Royal BC Museum. Thank you, Susan, for attending today. I would also like to extend a special welcome to Dr. Axel Meisen. A chemical engineer, Dr. Meisen graduated from the Universities of Imperial College London, California Institute of Technology, and McGill. Now largely retired, Dr. Meisen was formerly President of the Canadian Commission for UNESCO and Chair of Foresight at the Alberta Research Council. He served as President and Vice-Chancellor of Memorial University of Newfoundland and held appointments as Professor of Chemical Engineering and Dean of Applied Science at the University of British Columbia. He is a Fellow of the Chemical Institute of Canada, the Canadian Academy of Engineering, the Institution of Engineers of Ireland, as well as a member of the Peruvian Academy of Engineering and the Order of Canada. He also makes me wonder what on earth I'm doing with my spare time. Welcome, Dr. Meisen. To kick off our annual research day, it is perhaps useful to remind ourselves of a few very simple fundamentals. What do we mean by research? Why is museum research important? And how is it changing? Turning to the first of these, what do we mean by research? Well, there's little consensus amongst our peers. The Canadian Museum of History defines it as the systematic investigation of sources, materials, methods, or theories to create new knowledge and understandings in areas of professional interest. The V&A is a little pithier. For them, research is an original investigation undertaken in order to gain knowledge and understanding. But perhaps the best, at least to my mind, comes from the International Council of Museums, which considers research to be the intellectual activities and works aimed at discovery, invention, and the advancement of new knowledge connected with the museum's collections. It seems to me those last 5 words, connected with the museum's collections, are vital, as they remind us what is so very unique and so very important about the research work that world-class museums undertake. So then, what is the importance of museum research? Museums, by collecting objects, hold the information held by real things. We are a vast bank of primary evidence for establishing and furthering knowledge. And in that respect, we are unique. That first-hand information may be about man or nature or both. It may relate to art, to history, to science. Museum research may tell us not just about the shape and form of a vase, but where its clay was dug and its glaze fired, when it was made, who made it, and perhaps why. Museum research may tell us about where a mask comes from, who commissioned it, who danced it, or which ceremony and when. But that research can also help support a deeper understanding and appreciation of culture and cultural differences in ways that, through time, foster a stronger and more socially inclusive society. Museum research also allows us to discover previously unknown species from our backyards and beyond. It informs wildlife conservation decisions to protect threatened species from extinction. It helps fight wildlife trafficking and protects our province from introduced pests. Indeed, at a time when universities are moving increasingly away from biological classification, museum research is increasingly the last bastion of taxonomy and systematics. Though such work is a Penelope's web, without it, our understanding of evolution, biogeography, ecology, and biodiversity, like Penelope's web, simply unravels. Without it, we lose our ability to understand how life came about, how it diversified, and how it needs protection. We need that understanding more now than ever. We need museum science more now than ever. But expectations around research are changing. The chapter on museum ethics in the 2009 Routledge Companion to Museum Studies, certainly my go-to read at bedtime, is instructive in this respect. Picking up on changes in society's attitudes to what museums should be, it proposes, amongst other things, that society can expect museums to undertake research about collections and the subject areas within a museum's expertise, and that museum professionals should make it public and should publish it promptly. It encourages museum researchers to share interpretations and exchange views with the public. In other words, the public should be acknowledged as a partner in research, and that the museum should develop mechanisms that encourage people to research collections and shape interpretations, that it should strive to dispel prejudice and indicate clearly the role played by personal opinion. The issue of diversity is explored as well, since a variety of perspectives on collections are encouraged in order to reflect the diversity of the communities served by the museum. Here we have the makings of two movements that we all recognize but must do more to accommodate. We must become a more participatory museum, and we must become a hub of citizen science. So this brings us finally to the museum's own research strategy. As chair of the Museums Collections Committee, I am acutely aware that our remarkable resource of primary evidence continues only to grow. Yet the resources available to care for it and to make sense of it do not. This is not sustainable. Likewise, we all recognize that the potential value of museum research remains undiminished, yet the way in which research is undertaken must change if its potential is to be fully unlocked and societal value properly realized. For these reasons, the Royal BC Museum's research strategy, which was approved by the board last year and which will be operationalized by Leah as Head of Knowledge this year, attempts to balance these various competing factors. It does not restrict research to specific themes, as some leading museums do. This is much too restrictive. It doesn't play to our intellectual strengths. It is too likely to throw the curatorial baby out with the bureaucratic bathwater. Rather, it directs research towards three vital institutional priorities: understanding our collections, refreshing our core galleries, and creating temporary exhibitions. It requires that we have due regard for collaboration, interdisciplinary working, and collecting priorities, the needs of society and of knowledge partners. It demands that we consider that beloved phrase of the middle manager, cost-benefit. And it is perhaps worth reminding ourselves in this respect that, in the words of Joseph Grinnell, almost a century ago, the investment of human energy in the formation and maintenance of a research museum is justified only in proportion to the amount of real knowledge which is derived from its materials and given to the world. I appreciate none of this is especially revelatory. It is something that most of our research staff and associates do instinctively anyway. But the strategy will help provide structure and clarity, and it will, in time, and through a host of simple expedients, position this museum in the eyes of all as one of the most impactful research institutions in North America. So, in the sage, if rather turgid words of Secretary of State Donald Rumsfeld, as we know, there are known knowns, there are things we know we know. We also know there are known unknowns, that is to say, we know there are some things we do not know. But there are also unknown unknowns. The ones we don't know, we don't know. I have no doubt today that the known knowns of our collection will remain the preserve of the presenters, that the known unknowns are in some way addressed, and that the unknown unknowns keep our researchers inspired as they are busy for the next 12 months to come. Enjoy the day.